Do you have a true scary story you want to see on my channel? Well, go to astheravendreams.com/submit or check the links down below. And of course, thank you. Hey everyone. This glitch will sound absolutely stupid at first, but when I tell you I have no idea how this could be possible, I'm not exaggerating. I flew to Edmonton to visit my girlfriend on August 1st. On August 3rd, I was at her house preparing for a trip to Banff National Park. I remember holding my AirPods in my hand and thinking, I won't need these. So I throw them in the largest pocket of my backpack and call it a day. I ended up taking my duffel bag, a different bag, to Banff and did not use my AirPods the entire trip. When I get back from my trip, I immediately go to my bag and check for my AirPods since I wanted to listen to music. I searched my entire backpack, and I couldn't find them, and at this point, I was being lazy and decided to just forget about it, that maybe I had left them in another bag or in the bathroom, etc. 2 days before my flight back home, I was getting desperate about my AirPods. So, I decided to deep clean all the bags that I had brought on this trip. I emptied and inspected every pocket, zipper, hole of every bag that I brought on the trip. I remember distinctly putting my hand in each pocket of my backpack, checking for corners where small things could get stuck, checking for tears where things could fall through, and I found nothing. I even emptied the bag. I laid it flat on a table and pressed down on each part to look for bumps. At this point, I had just accepted my fate and got back on my flight to my hometown, checking the bag routinely while sitting at the airport, and even when I landed. Fast forward to September 21st, and I had gone a month and a bit without them. I moved to another town to start school, and I'd been living there since the 1st. I never used my AirPods once. Tonight, I was packing up my things to go to my girlfriend's house in the same city, and I stood over my bag trying to remember where I had put my keys. And, lo and behold, my AirPods, literally sticking out of the side of the pocket of my bag, as if someone had planted them there for me to see them. Confirmed mine because when I opened them, they automatically connected to my phone with the same name that I had given them. None of my roommates came with me to Banff, and my girlfriend insists that she would have no motivation to steal my AirPods for a month, watch me in despair, and then plant them back in my bag a month later for no reason. I'm a firm believer in hard facts and evidence, but I can no longer believe that we're not in the Matrix. Growing up, I received this watch from my grandma. I believe it was from a garage sale. It was slim, purple, electronic watch with a solar power face. Well, I was about 16 when for some reason the alarm would go off around 2:55 every morning. I'd get up, turn it off, over and over. Eventually I reset it and placed it in my dresser. That night, it went off again. I was pissed that it was interrupting my beloved's sleep. I'm not sure why I didn't immediately throw it away, but I kept turning the watch alarm off or changing the time for 7 a.m. when I normally woke up. And this watch just kept going off at 2:55 a.m. Finally, I threw it in the trash in our bathroom. That night, I hear the watch going off. Freaked out, I'm like, where is it coming from? It was under my bed. The next day, my mom said, "Oh yeah, I saw that in the bathroom and figured you accidentally threw it away, so I tossed it on your bed." At this point, I was just annoyed, but then I gave the watch to my friend. I think it was gone for about 2 weeks when I woke up and hear this watch going off. I lost my mind. Why the hell and what did I do to deserve this harassment at this point? I found the watch under my bed again. So, I opened the window and threw it out. Next day, I called my friend who I gave this cheap plastic purple watch to, and she said, "Oh, I never took it from your house. I left it there. I forgot about it." I was so confused because it was gone for 2 weeks almost. So that night, I lay awake hearing the alarm go off outside my window. Softly but smugly. I'm satisfied with the results. It's much quieter and I can barely hear it. Then, I ended up going on vacation, and when I came back and walked into my room, I froze. Sitting on my dresser is the watch, looking dirty, but still working. At this point, I was concerned the universe was playing a cruel joke on me. My parents never said they brought it in, and my brother denied bringing it in. I decided to smash it with the cinder block my dad had in his garage, and that was officially the end of my haunted watch experience. I will try to be as brief as possible. My whole life, I have suffered glitches, most of which revolve around a feeling that I'm being watched. The best description is like a real-life Truman Show. I know I'm not being watched, but sometimes the things that happen are difficult to ignore. A few weeks ago, my girlfriend accidentally washed my vape pen. The pen was a Yukon Evolve Plus. I got it at a smoke shop near me about 3 years ago, and it's used to vaporize marijuana concentrates. I use it when I'm traveling. It's self-contained and very portable. I had made plans to visit my daughter and grandchildren a few hours away from me, so I decided to stop by the same store and see if I could get a new one. On our way to my daughter's, my girlfriend and I stopped at the smoke shop. I walked in and I asked the lady if they had the pen. She said they did not and don't carry that type of device anymore, and really acted like she didn't know what I was talking about. I asked if they had anything that would be comparable, and she took me to a glass case in the corner of the shop. Things were kind of piled on top of each other in there. As the lady was moving stuff around, I noticed 2 boxes that say Yukon on the side. I asked to see them, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know we had those." There was a kind of pinkish one and a black one. I said I wanted the black one, and she tried to talk me out of buying it. She said the other one was more silver than pink, and she thought it looked nicer. I reiterated that I wanted the black one. She rung it up and I left. We started heading towards my daughter's. My girlfriend was driving and I got the device out to charge it. And that was when the sun hit the top of the box, and I saw that my name was pressed into the top. Someone had signed my name on a piece of paper on top of the box, and the indentation was still there. I'm looking at it now, and it is clearly my first and last name. I have absolutely no explanation for how my name happened to be on the box. There's no reason for it to be there, and it's very concerning. So, that's it. I don't want to post a pic because it's my full name, but I would be happy to send a pic to a mod as proof. For background, I used to drive a pretty bare-bones SUV that had manual seats, no electronics in the seats whatsoever. They could move forward and back and lean up and down, both with manual levers, and that was all. About 3 years ago, a reckless teenager in his mom's Volkswagen rounded a right turn going way too fast, and T-boned me while I was stopped in the left turn lane. Totaled my truck, which I had put so much work into. It broke my heart. Anyways, after a few months of dealing with insurance, I was issued a payout and proceeded to buy a new car. The car is a mid-level sedan with almost all the bells and whistles. Electric seat controls and even a lumbar, which is lower back support adjustment button. This was a wonderful perk for me, because when I was 14, I fractured a few vertebrae in the lumbar region of my spine and still deal with some pain. Fast forward to a few months ago, I'd been driving for DoorDash nearly full-time because of the pandemic. I'd lost my other job. I was pulling into a parking lot to pick up some food, and I reached down to adjust the lumbar support, which I did regularly depending on the state of my back pain. Only, this time, the lumbar adjustment button no longer exists. The forward, back, and up-down buttons have not changed, but where the lumbar button was is now empty. There is an extremely slight outline in the plastic where the button should, or could, be, but otherwise it is now just smooth plastic. No evidence of there ever having been a button there at all. Of course, I promptly freaked out, but I still had to keep working. I just kept putting my left hand down to the seat control, hoping the button would reappear, but of course, it never has. This is pretty tame compared to some of the other stories here, but strange nonetheless. Has anyone else had a similar experience? I know it seems like such an incredibly mundane glitch, but that button helped my back pain immensely, and I miss it. I'm not really sure how to describe this story in a way that makes sense. I, 20 female, was 19 at the time. I had just gotten off work and left my office to pick up my boyfriend at the time. We both worked the swing shift. I got off at 11:30 and him at midnight, and we only had one car. Anyways, I had just gotten off the highway and was turning on to the street that his office was on. About a quarter of a mile down the road, there was an intersection, and the light was red. It was also filled with smoke, and there were some boys standing in the intersection. I think they were crossing the street. The intersection also had a high school campus on it, and the football field was directly next to the street. As I pulled up to the intersection, I slowed down and stopped way earlier than I needed to because the scene was weird. I could see more people standing in the smoke and some boys on the football field. And then a loud, dusty old sedan drove through the intersection on a red and sped off in the direction that I was headed. People started getting out of their cars and running down the street towards me. The van in front of me was slowly backing up too. I noped out of there. I made a U-turn in the middle of the street and drove back towards the highway. As I drove away, I started to hear gunshots. I called my then boyfriend to tell him it was going to take me longer to come pick him up. I told him what had happened, and I was pretty panicked. Then I picked him up and we went home. At home, I looked up the news and checked it for days. I never saw a thing. I also looked up the intersection to see if any news would pop up, and Google Maps said there was a gas station and a Walgreens. I did some more research, and the high school that I had seen hadn't existed in 40 years. The next night, when I was driving to pick up the boyfriend, I paid attention to the intersection. There was no high school. So, when I was around 1 year old, I was with my parents in the supermarket when an old man approached me, as old people do with babies, and insisted to my parents that I take his coin. My parents described how calming and familiar the man was. I like to think it's me from the future, but that's maybe reaching a bit. So fast forward to me now, almost turning 22, I've had the coin with me the whole time. A couple of years ago, I bought a safe and thought it would be good to keep it in there. About a month I go back to the safe, and the coin isn't there. I had it in a little plastic case designed for cool coins. The case was there, but the coin wasn't. I'm the only person that can get into that safe, and I'm the only person who's ever been near it. So, for the whole year, that coin is just lost, and I'm devastated. Now, here's the weird part. I'm up in the loft of my parents' house, where I grew up, organizing some boxes and stuff, when something falls from the ceiling and hits me on the shoulder. And what do you know? The damn coin is sat at my feet just staring at me. I've never been so confused in my life. I never moved the coin. I hadn't been to my parents' house in forever. There's no ledge on the ceiling or anything where the coin could have fallen from. It just materialized from thin air. Anyway, that's my weird story. It makes me think that the coin just isn't part of this reality. Edit. Thank you for all the comments and upvotes on this post. There has been some great insight. I'll have a photo of the coin linked here tomorrow for those that want to see it. And for anyone that hasn't seen my previous comment, the coin is a UK pre-decimal 1967 1D. They went out of circulation in 1970, I believe, and the new 1 pence was introduced. I was sitting on the beach late one night, a couple of weeks ago. The moon was full, and it was reflecting off of the ocean, so it was pretty bright out. And then, all of a sudden, everything seemed darker, even though no clouds were passing through, and then a man went walking by on the shoreline, but he looked like a shadow. It was hard to make out what I was actually seeing. Once my eyes adjusted, I realized that this man was walking backwards. But it looked so unnatural. His arms were swinging in the strangest way. He was bent slightly forward even though he was walking in reverse, and his arms were just so unnatural is the only way I could describe it. It was uncomfortable to look at, but I watched him until he walked past me a bit, and then I guess my eyes adjusted fully because everything seemed brighter and clearer again, and he just simply started walking forward, normally, just past me again, back towards the direction he came from and down the beach. His posture was still the same, but his arms and movements looked normal now. The only way I can describe what I saw is it was like he was being rewound. And then someone just pressed play and he resumed normally. He just looked like a normal guy. Has anyone else ever experienced or witnessed anything like this? I have a flight next morning, so I wanted to sleep early, but I'm so upset. I started to read the experiences here and decided to share my own. Right after I was done with packing, I remembered that I did not put my face cleanser in. So, I went to my room to get it, which was new, and never been used because I was still using the little tester bottle, which I got before buying the product itself. So, the tester bottle was in the bathroom. This big bottle was in my room, but now it's not. It should be on my makeup desk, but it wasn't there. So I searched my whole room, and then I thought perhaps I actually packed it. I removed every item in my bag, but nothing. Then I searched the whole house. I searched the whole house for an item that was literally on my makeup desk. Cleanser might sound like something that can go missing easy, but the thing is that this one was special, because I finally found one that my skin likes. No irritation or allergic reaction. It cleared my face so well after a couple of usage of the tester bottle. So when I bought the product itself, which was expensive, I was so happy with it. So I put it on my desk to make sure I was packing it with me. And it's a huge bottle. Nothing makes sense right now. I know it was there and then it wasn't, but I guess sometimes that's what happens, huh? So that was this week's Glitch in the Matrix collection. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. I know these stories were shorter, but sometimes you have to do a collection of more stories that are shorter because that's all you have access to, because for some reason, there haven't been a lot of long stories on Reddit lately. So, that said, if you by chance have had a glitch in the Matrix happen to you, could you maybe send it my way? Just go to astheravendreams.com/submit, and I will happily take the story from you and feature it in a video like this. I have no problem with these shorter stories. That's not at all what I was intending to say. What I am trying to say is the longer stories make longer videos, if that makes sense. I don't mind doing 8 stories that are shorter. It's fine by me. I just want to make sure you guys are getting all the content that you want and that you prefer. So, yeah. If you did enjoy the video, please consider hitting that thumbs up button. You can also subscribe to the channel if you're new, or leave me a comment with the word of the week. Speaking of, last week's word of the week was trivial. TRIVIAL, and there were 5 people who commented, and let me tell you, my friends, I genuinely appreciate them. They are on the screen now. But we need to move forward to this week's word of the week, which just so happens to be the word courage. COURAGE, which is the state or quality of mind or spirit that enables one to face danger, fear, vicissitudes with self-possession, confidence, and resolution. Bravery. Also being the heart, mind, thought, feeling, inclination, or desire. I will also accept sentences with the word courageous if that helps you write the sentence. So, that all said, I want to say I love you all. Thank you so very much for all of the love and support that you give the channel. It means the absolute world to me, and I'll see you next time. Until then, beautiful people, sleep well.